What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Chillin with Dylan podcast. You're chilling with your host Dylan today, and right now I'm just up in the studio by myself. I feel like I haven't done a solo episode in a while, so it's kind of nice to do this. I love having guests on and stuff, but sometimes it is nice to just do your own thing, you know. So I guess before we get into anything, I just want to make a few updates and stuff. I feel like I haven't been able to really do many updates since, I've been with guests a lot, and I don't want to just be yapping about all that stuff while I have somebody that is trying to be interviewed, you know. So the podcast is definitely growing. I can see it. Definitely been having a little bit more interaction with it lately, which I just want to say thank you to everybody who uses their precious time to listen to this, of all things. It really means a lot to me. I don't know. I love the sense of community that's being built. But yeah, podcast is growing. I have recently changed my hosting platform from Spotify for podcasters to Podbean, which allows me to distribute this into a lot more places. So now we're live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, a bunch of other random things, Amazon Music, pretty much any podcasting platform you can find me there now. It's kind of nice. YouTube, we're on YouTube now. That's a big one. So every time I upload an episode, it'll automatically go to all of these other platforms, which is nice. The YouTube, I want to get that kind of more active as well. I am looking into cameras and stuff so I can start doing videos for you guys. Maybe do some video podcasts as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so there's all that. What else? I actually have a second podcast that I think I'm going to be recording the first episode for that after this one. Basically, it's going to be called Love From You to You. It's going to be all about learning how to love ourselves and be the best versions of ourselves for ourselves and the rest of the world. That one is going to be shorter episodes because I host it a different platform. It's called Buzzsprout, I believe. And for some reason, they only allow you to do 2 hours of recording or like uploading per month. But if I do that into like 20-minute episodes, then I can make 6 episodes a month, which I think is, pretty decent for a second podcast. I mean, that's, 6 episodes a month, I think we'll do. Or I could do 4 30-minute episodes, whatever. Either way, they're going to be shorter than this. It's just going to be me on there. And I think the Chillin' with Dylan thing is going to be more interviews and what I'm doing today, which is the Q&A, actually. I don't know how many of y'all saw the Google form that I put out for questions and answers, but I think I'm going to make this kind of like a weekly thing, or at least, somewhat weekly, where I just put out the Google form, wait for like a week and get some answers, and then I'll share them here, obviously. So yeah, the Chillin' with Dylan is going to be a little more, I think it would just fit the name of the podcast a little more if it was more focused on, other people, like interviews, this kind of thing, interaction type of stuff with the fam, the Chillin' with Dylan fam. So, yeah, basically, I think it was about a week ago, I put this Google form out for a Q&A. Yeah, I really like it because it's a way for me to kind of get to know who's listening and stuff. And, I know a lot of these people already. It was mostly people here up at the Ponderosa that answered, but yeah, we got 7 responses. I had 10 questions on there. I think one of them was just "What's your name?" and one of them was "What are your questions for me?" So technically, there was 8 questions that I asked you guys. So we got 7 people that answered. We have Talon or Taliban. That's I love you, Talon. That's funny. And then we have Bailey, who was on the show before, Steven or Squig McDaniel. Shout out to you, dude. You've been giving a lot of support to the show and everything that I've been doing, so thank you for participating. Shout out to you. Chandler, so glad you filled this out. Zelda, I knew you was going to help me out too. And Mitchell, I'm so glad that you guys all took the time out of your day to just answer these kind of hard questions. I feel like the question was, like the questions were just kind of a little deeper than I think people were thinking that they were going to be, but I wanted some interesting answers. I didn't want some just, basic yes or no things because that's boring. So, all of our guests are from, let's see. I wish this went in order. So, we've got people from all over the world, actually. It's kind of nice. So, Mitchell is from Connecticut. And we got Zelda from Texas. Ree from California. Steven from Muskegon, Michigan. Shout out 231 represent, baby. Chandler from San Diego, out in Cali. Bailey, also from California. And we've got Talon the Taliban from Batavia, New York. So, yeah, just a little bit of everywhere. A lot of California, which is understandable. California got a lot of people, so makes sense. So, the first question that I put out there was, what do you think you have that most people don't, and what is it like having that? And I'm not going to read all of these answers because that would just take forever, so just kind of go through, and whichever ones I think are interesting, I'll put out there. And if I don't read your answer, it's not because I don't think it's interesting or anything. Like I said, I just don't have the time to read all of them. But I did read through all of them, and I did appreciate all of the answers. So what do you think you have that most people don't, and what is it like having that? This person responded, and I don't think it shows the name of who did it, and it doesn't go in order, so I don't know who answered what. But first answer is, I think I have a really good family. I believe the best families aren't perfect and definitely have problems, but they equip you with life lessons that are worthwhile. I have an amazing mom and dad, and my siblings are my best friends. Even though we have our problems, I'm glad to have them. You know what I mean? Yeah, family is, I don't know, it's one of those big things, and I think it's very easy to take family for granted because, you're kind of just plopped into this world and you just start existing, and these people are just around you, and they're just always there, so it's kind of easy to take them for granted. So it's a really good thing to actually be able to realize how good you have it with your family, because a lot of families are a mess. I know my family is lovely as well, but it definitely has not the strongest support system and all that. So, and I'm still grateful for my family, So I can't even imagine, like, if your family is actually got their shit together and they're here for you, like, through everything, and you call your family your best friends, like, that is something that a lot of people don't have. So yeah, that's awesome, dude. We'll read another one, another answer for this question. I think this is Bailey's answer right here. And we're still on the question, what do you think that most people, or what do you have that most people don't, and what is it like having that? And this answer is, I feel I'm a really active listener. Having active listening as a trait is great because I feel I'm truly able to understand people and be able to perceive them better from the things they tell me. Yeah, this is being a good listener is so important. I think it's even more important than being a good speaker. Obviously, if you can do both, that's even better. But if I had to choose one of the two to be really good at, I would choose listening because, yeah, I think when you're able to listen, you almost get to like unlock these parts of people that you can only access through listening to them and their stories and perspectives on things. And when you're able to listen, like you might hear something that changes how you view the world and how you go about your life. Whereas, if you're just talking all the time, you're not really opening up for that. Like, you're not making any room for all of this good stuff that you could be bringing around with you in your life and stuff. And Bailey, you are a really good listener. I have never felt like you aren't listening to me when I'm talking to you. So I really appreciate you for that, man. And I can vouch for your answer. Let's see. Another answer for the same question, what do you have that most people don't? I really like this one. A mindset that allows me to look at almost nothing that happens in life as negative. I think I definitely have this mindset as well. It takes a second to kind of cultivate that mindset because, how can you look at something that has happened that is so inconvenient or fucked up or whatever and just think, oh yeah, this is fine, this is good. But when you really look at it, every experience you have is an opportunity to grow. You can take something away from every experience that you have, good or bad. I've had horrible, terrifying experiences in my life that at the time were obviously very traumatic and terrifying. But looking back on it now, I am so grateful that all of this happened. Like back in the day when I was a stupid teenager and I got in trouble with the police, that was like the worst thing to ever happen in my life at that point. But I look back now and I'm like, man, if that never happened and I never got in trouble with the police, I don't think I would have learned anything and I would have still been doing stupid stuff and who knows where that might have gone. So I really like that answer. That is something that I think not many people have because there's a lot of doubters and complainers and people that think that the world is out to get them. But if you really sit down and look at it, there's never anything that's out to get you or trying to hurt you. And it may seem like it, but that's the thing. It only seems like that. But once you try to actually look at a situation and understand it, you realize that like this is happening so that you can become better because of it. And like I said, it takes some time and practice to get to a point where you can see it like that. But yeah, that makes me feel good that I'm not the only one out there that thinks like that. So I really like that answer. Thank you. All right, and then question 2. Well, technically question 4, but the first 2 was just what's your name and where you're from. For this question, we have what is a subject that is very important to you and why is it important? So we'll dive into that. We had a couple people that said natural resources are very important. I think there was like 2 or... Okay, yeah, there was 2 answers that were kind of the same. We have nature is the single most valuable resource we have, and we need to treat it like that. And then we have our natural resources, they're not replaceable, which I think Mitchell and Steven answered those ones with that. That is something that's very important, and for me especially after traveling around and working in national parks and living out in areas like this, yeah, the natural resources are, once they're gone, they're gone. You can't just replace that. It's not like we can just go to the tree factory and print off more trees, or if a mountain gets knocked over, like there's no putting that back. Like you could try, but it's not going to be the same. And yeah, I mean, we only have one Earth. We only have one. Yeah, we get one shot at this. We get one shot at this beautiful heavenly place. I think we definitely need to, like, as a species, really start focusing more on keeping Earth pristine and in good condition because, it's fine to have our buildings and all this stuff, but we don't need to be tearing down trees to do that. There is so many places that are just empty space that, we could put all of our buildings and stuff there and not have to knock things over, not have to fuck with a bunch of water or, there's ways we can still have our human pleasures without having to absolutely fuck everything up for the whole planet and all the animals that don't even know what's going on. Yeah, so it is an important thing. So I'm glad not even just one person brought that up, but there was two on a form that only 7 people filled out too. So that's, we getting that in. We got another one here. Empathy and mental health, which we're still on the question, what is a subject that's important to you and why? We got empathy and mental health. Without it, we are no better than any animal on earth. We're back to the basics of what we understand is survival, even if it is more complex. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that kind of is what separates us from, the rest of animals and stuff. I think animals definitely have, their own mental health things, and I think they can have empathy among each other. Like, like horses can feel empathy for other horses, but I don't know if they fully would understand, like, a human has feelings like that too. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not a horse. But yeah, I think that, like, the empathy and mental health definitely, that it's important. Like, if we don't practice empathy as a species, and we're not taking care of our mental health, like, we're never gonna get anything done, and we're never gonna be, empathy is like what unites us and gets us to work together and gets us to work together in ways where we benefit everyone else. Because when you have empathy, you can look at what people are doing or what you're doing and realize, like, this is affecting other people. Like, is it affecting people in a way that I would like to be affected, or am I treating people in a way that's not how I'd like to be treated? It's like the golden rule, basically. Like, without the golden rule, treating others how we want to be treated, it can get real messy, it can get real nasty. So it's a good thing to see that there's people out here that, see the importance of that, of being empathetic toward each other and making sure that, we're all good in our mental so that we don't turn into just rabid, freaking sociopathic beasts, Like, I think empathy and mental health and things along those lines should be, taught in school. Like, I think we should totally replace all of our stupid classes that talk about credit cards and useless nonsense with, something that's actually applicable to life and being alive and making things better. Because, yeah, going to a credit card class is not making the world a better place. It's honestly just making everything more stressful and annoying. But I would fuck with an empathy and mental health class. Yeah, good answer. That's a good answer. We'll do one more answer for this question before we move on to the next one. So this person answered, I think traveling is so important. It's important because I think you can learn more than you can at college. You can learn empathy for others, learn about different foods, cultures, meet amazing people, learn about the geography of a certain area. There's so much to see and do. I don't think you're doing yourself any good if you're stuck in your hometown or the same area your entire life. And I agree. I totally agree with this. It's kind of why I started traveling and why I still want to continue traveling, because, even here at the Ponderosa, I've been here a year and a half, and, at one point this was my travel, but now it's kind of becoming the hometown that I'm staying in and getting stuck in. And I could tell you, yeah, it's like travel just, I don't know, I think it instills like a sense of wonder and adventure in us that makes us, I don't know, like reunite with that inner child that's in all of us. There's a lot of people I've met that are just like homebodies that don't want to ever leave their hometown, which is fine, which is totally fine. You don't have to leave and never come back. but I do think everybody should at least get out of their hometown for a weekend at some point, Go somewhere, see the rest of the world. Like there's so much out there, and I think like once you do travel out like once, you kind of realize that like shit, I should have been doing this more often. And obviously, you can't always be traveling. Like you have things you got to pay for, so you need to kind of have a little bit of stability you got to stay in one area for a little bit so you can pay all your stuff, whatever. Or if you don't have a car, you can't travel as easily. Like, yeah, there's reasons why you can't travel all the time, but again, I think at least once in your life, like go out and go somewhere that you've really always been curious about and go check it out. See how different things can be out there, because I think when you're stuck in your hometown and all this stuff, you kind of start to think that the rest of the world is kind of just the same as it is at home, and you start to think that the people are the same and that you're just going to eat the same food everywhere. But I could tell you from experience that even just traveling between the states, like you really dive into like new places that just have these things that like you would have never even thought existed, or you would have never even thought these were like cultural things that happened. Or you might try a type of food that you never even thought of. Like, yeah. So thank you for that answer, whoever that was. I really agree with that. I think it's travel is A1. So for the next question, we have what, who, or where has been a factor in your development as a person, and how has it helped you develop? And see, this is what I'm saying. This is a this is kind of like the questions get a little deep for a little Google form, but yeah, I mean, I didn't want no simple answer. I'd rather have a few answers that are really interesting than a lot of answers that are just yes, no, I don't know. Let's see. This one is kind of like this answer. There was a person in my life who I used to always wish I never met, but as I grew, I realized that if I never met him, I wouldn't be where I am today. He taught me not to shrink myself for others and taught me I don't owe anyone to anything who's hurting me. He didn't mean to give me these lessons, but spending so much time with him made me realize these things. Yeah, I think this kind of ties back into one of the first answers when I asked, like, what do you have that other people don't? And, how does that feel? The question, or the answer to that question, where it was like, I don't look at anything as a negative experience. I feel like this answer kind of fits with that because, you're taking somebody who, you didn't really want around in your life, or, you wish you never met them, but now, you realize that that person helped you grow in ways that you didn't even know you needed to grow. And, that's an awesome thing that you can turn a person into that instead of just being like, ah, fuck this person. Like, wish I never met them. Now you kind of see the value they had in your life, which is really cool. And I mean, obviously that doesn't mean you have to like talk to this person ever again, but like, just being able to realize that, maybe these things that come into your life that might seem kind of like negative or like a hassle or just not your thing, like, maybe those are the things you need sometimes. And you will look back someday on it and be like, oh, that's why this, inconvenience happened, or this person that I didn't really like stuck around in my life for a while. Because, I've definitely had my share of people that, like, I just could not stand, but they, taught me how to be patient. Like every annoying person I've had in my life, I've learned how to raise my tolerance for people. I've learned how to, or every mean person I've met has strengthened my, humor. Like I can use humor now more effectively because I would, have to kind of use it to downplay this negativity that's coming my way. Yeah, it's awesome that you can see that. that this person wasn't, what you wanted, but what you kind of needed in your life at the time. So thank you for that answer. That's I don't know, gets you thinking. Oh, here's one. I like this one. Again, question is what, who, or where has been a factor in your development as a person, and how has it helped you develop? We got the thing that has most helped me develop as a person is seasonal work. It has massively got me out of my shell and better at communicating. I have to agree, man. I thank God every day for seasonal work and having it as an option. Because I kind of went through the same thing before I started doing seasonal work. I was starting to be a little bit more of a social person, but I remember my first seasonal job down at the lodge in Zion. I got there and I did not say a word to like anybody for, I would say like hi and stuff and introduce myself, but I just like I was so nervous and so scared because like, back home it was kind of different because I knew everybody around me and I was comfortable, so I would, open up a little bit more. But even then, I was still, kind of shy. I grew up that way. But once I started doing the seasonal work, I started to realize that, no matter where you go, people are kind of the same. Like if I can be comfortable with people at home, why can't I be comfortable with people here? Like we all I really do think that wherever you go, you meet the same people just wearing different costumes, like the same types of people. So it's like if you can be comfortable around people, say out in like California, and then you go out to Alaska. I don't know. I think the people there are, you'll meet the same people that you met in California, but they just are in a different place and they look different and they, have different mannerisms and stuff. But you'll always meet the mean guy, the cool guy, the funny guy, the happy guy, the lovely guy. Like you'll just meet the same types of people. And so I think seasonal work really taught me that there's not really ever any reason to cower away from people because it's like, if you can talk to people in one place, there's no difference in the other places. Yeah, seasonal work has definitely helped me as well to figure out who I am and find myself and like be myself in front of all of these people and not hide myself. So, very good answer, man. I think seasonal work is A1 like steak sauce. I liked this question because I feel like this is something that, can help anybody out there that's kind of trying to look for some things to implement in their life and make it a little better. So the question was, what kind of practices or routines do you think could help people increase their overall well-being, and why do you think so? Here, we'll start with this one. I believe that less screen time equals less anxiety, less sadness, and more creativity. We are our attention. When we put our attention into something that numbs us, we don't get the opportunity to put it towards something we love. And the worst part is, it's addicting. And I believe this too. I feel like I've had a lot of screen time lately, but it's also kind of like it's been productive screen time because I'm doing my podcast stuff and all this. But there's times where I do all my stuff and like I just stay on the screen anyway, just going back and forth looking at things that I don't know, I don't really need to check right now. I'll end up, sharing like the new podcast out to Facebook, and then I end up scrolling for 20 minutes or something. And that 20 minutes, like I could have used a little more productively. I could have gone in and edited a little bit more, or gone on a 20-minute walk, or meditate, or, anything. But that 20 minutes is just gone. And, I think that's why it can lead to anxiety too, because you kind of get to a point where you realize that, like, dude, I'm wasting my time and I can't get that back just to scroll on a phone and look at whatever stupid pictures or brain rotting videos, whatever. At least for me, that's, when I'm having too much screen time, that's like my main concern is that I'm just wasting my time in a way that I'm not doing anything productive. And I'm not saying you have to always be productive. I think it's fine to allot some time to just let your brain just drop out for a minute and go on Facebook or whatever. But, I feel like if you're going to be doing that, you got to kind of have like a set time for it, rather than just randomly at any moment just being like, you know what, I'm just going to scroll for an hour. Because I don't think screens in and of themselves are bad. It just depends on how you use it. And it is addicting too. It's like a dopamine chase. It's no different than doing cocaine or something. Like, you just keep going back for more, and it doesn't really benefit you that much. But yeah, that's a good one. Less screen time. Definitely got a couple answers that mentioned less screen time. This answer was kind of funny. I don't know if this is serious or not, but somebody answered to the kind of practices, routines that could help your well-being. This answer was being drunk and over complimenting people, because we don't hear that shit the way we need to. And, I think that's awesome, but you also don't need to be drunk to give people a lot of compliments. Like I said, I don't know if this answer is like a joke or what, but I agree with the compliment part, because giving compliments to people, I mean, drunk or not, it's just rejuvenating for everybody. Like, when I try my best to, when I'm out in public, like, dude, I love your shoes, I love your haircut, whatever. Like, even if I'm like nervous to say it, I just say it anyway. And I don't think I've ever had a bad interaction after giving someone a compliment. They usually smile and, will say thank you or give you a compliment back. And then, you just go on your day feeling good that, like, I wanted to say this and I did, and it might have made somebody's day. I don't know. I think it's you can't be afraid to give compliments, because somebody might, like, when you get the urge to give somebody a compliment, like, you might just like subconsciously on some level just know that that person needs a little boost today. And if you don't follow that little urge, like, you aren't going to compliment that person, and maybe, they'll go on still having a bad day. Yeah, dude, I love that. And again, I don't know if the being drunk part is, I don't know if that's serious or not, but either way, it is more fun to compliment people when you're drunk. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Sorry, I'm not like going through all the answers. I just don't want to like make this episode super long or anything. All right, this one. Describe one of your favorite or most influential experiences you've ever had. Again, this is kind of a deeper question. I really like this answer. I know this is from Steven, because he is a Deadhead, always wearing tie-dye with like the Grateful Dead logo on it and stuff. So I know this is his answer, but Steven said, first Grateful Dead show, Noblesville, Indiana, June 1994, meeting the best people on the planet. I learned what true kindness meant. It changed how I looked at everything. Yeah, I mean, I think that just speaks for itself. The Grateful Dead is, I mean, if you know anything about them, like, their crowd that follows them around and stuff is like, I mean, just a bunch of super loving, like, hippies that just want peace and to smoke weed and just chill. And the music is just very, laid back. So I do think that would, go into a Grateful Dead concert like that, and just being able to see that, like, holy shit, there's so many people here that are all about the love, all about the peace. That would change how I look at things too, dude. I don't think I'd, now that people like that are out there, like, I feel like I would be so inspired to be one of those people, and to also not accept anything less than that. Like, if you know that there's like super nice, good people out there, I would never be accepting anything less than that in people, like, ever again. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Steven. I really wish I was alive at the time so I could have went to that concert with you. This one, again, the question is, describe one of your favorite or most influential experiences you've ever had. Right here we have, I thought going to Zion was definitely one of the most influential experiences I've had. We like to think about good experiences as being influential, but I think last year was probably it. I was really sad last year and applied to Zion to just get away, and after I learned what it meant to be happy, I just wanted to run away from that feeling. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think coming out to a place like this kind of really helps get your mind straight. I was talking to somebody about it the other day, how like it's very interesting here, out here in Zion at the Ponderosa, because it's almost like it's its own world. We're kind of isolated up here, and most days you only see the people that work here or the guests or whatever. It's almost like, yeah, there's this culture here and everything. And I think you kind of get away from the rest of the world, and it allows you to kind of reevaluate like what life should look like. You come out here and you see like, oh, I can go on adventures every day, and there's a lot of cool people, and like I can be chill with everybody, and you can take all of that back home or wherever you go and apply all that too, and kind of like bring the Pondy lifestyle outside of here, and not even just at the Ponderosa, but like anywhere you go. I don't know. Again, like travel is too good, man. It's too good. Thank you for that answer as well. Oh, this answer is nice for the same question. When I was in 12, I think like 12th grade. I don't know if they're saying when I was 12 years old or in 12th grade. I don't know. I solo traveled across the states and got to stay with distant family for a bit, and it made me realize that all goals are achievable no matter who or where you are in life. So, I mean, either way, if you were saying that you're 12 years old or in 12th grade, I mean, solo traveling across the states at, a younger age like that is pretty big. I've never traveled across the country or anything until I was 21 or 22. And, I kind of had seen people in the world and stuff and been places already. But yeah, I mean, being able to do something like that, I feel like would definitely make me feel like I could do anything, especially, if you're doing that solo and you really just have to look out for yourself and make sure you get to all your flights on time, make sure you get to all your buses on time, make sure all your stuff is with you. Like, I think that kind of experience would teach you to really rely on yourself, and knowing that you can rely on yourself is what makes a lot of things possible. Where you can, set a goal and achieve it because you know that you can do whatever you need to do, even if it sucks. You can make it, dude. Because I can imagine traveling all the way across the country at a younger age would be kind of stressful. So the fact that you're able to kind of minimize the stress and like be focused on like, all right, I got to get here at this time and do this and do that. Like, I don't know. I think that's it's a cool experience. I think that would definitely shape me as a person too. I've had my solo travel experiences, but not at that age. So, and I know how influential those were on me even in my 20s. So, yeah, thank you for that answer. We'll move on to the next. Shout outs. I asked like a question for shout outs. So for Mr. Talon, he wants to shout out, I think this is his Instagram handle, Talon DO. It is TALONDE0. Go follow that boy on Instagram. We got Bailey. This is his Instagram. Bailey_Lawler. BAILEY_LAWLER. Shout out to you, brother. Chandler has a YouTube channel, which y'all should all check out. Gonna be making some videos together at some point, so I mean, y'all just might as well get on the channel right now. It's Meeptopia Films. That's Chandler's YouTube channel. Highly recommend you go over there and check it out. Steven's shout out isn't really a plug for any social media or anything, but I like what he said. Stop hating just because folks don't think like you. Yes, I agree, Steven. Man, I want to hang out with you, dude. You just coolest man. And then we got dropped her Instagram. It's r1h.br4nd, which I think is supposed to say rebrand. Go over, hit her up with a follow on there. We got Zelda. Her shout out is shout out to you for being a kind and caring soul. Thank you. That just makes my day. And thank you for being kind enough to say something so kind, dude. And thank you for participating in the survey. And that's all the shout outs that I had for that. So now we can go to. I had a section where y'all could ask me a question and I'll answer it. Should have time to kind of answer most of these. So we've got, what's a fear you face to get yourself where you are today? Do you live in fear ever? Why or why not? Of course, I experience fear, but I definitely don't make fear an important thing. When I do get scared, I kind of just say, that's not really important. Focus on something else. Because I think you're not operating at your fullest capacity when you're in fear. You know, I'm not trying to avoid fear. I just, as soon as I notice that I'm falling into it, I kind of pull myself out because I know it's not beneficial to be in fear whatsoever. I mean, it does have its time and place, but mostly, like, the only time I think fear is an effective thing is, like, if you're being chased by a killer animal or something. Like, I don't think anything else really, I don't think fear should be used for anything else. You know, fear that I faced to get myself where I am today, I think I really had to get over the fear of rejection, kind of. Just being rejected for like who I am. You know, I would always I wouldn't be myself because I was always afraid that being myself was gonna like push people away and all that stuff. But you know, one day I kind of realized, dude, why should I be minimizing myself for, you know, to get people to like me that like don't actually even like me for me? And when I kind of realized how stupid that was to even think of doing that, I just started being myself. And, you know, if I get rejected for it, well, that sucks for whoever's rejecting me because I'm awesome, dude. That's it. Like, so yeah, definitely getting over the fear of rejection or just not being accepted for who I am. And a lot of that stemmed from just me not accepting who I am, you know. So yeah, I got over that, and I think that's what brought me to where I am today. Thank you for your question. Walk us through your hiking gear. What are the necessary and what's the creature comforts? So yeah, I mean, I don't know, anybody who's listened to this podcast long enough knows that I've done some through hiking, which is just where you kind of go on a very long extended hike that's at least a couple 100 miles. So when I hiked the Colorado Trail, I had obviously my backpack, tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad, cooking stuff, food, water treatment stuff, clothes, and then like first aid stuff. And I would say that that's pretty much like the essentials. And then like for my creature comforts, I obviously had, you know, my power bank for my phone because I don't really think you need a phone when you're out there. You don't have service anyway. So that's kind of a creature comfort. I had like little notebooks and stuff to write in, which I don't need to have those out there, but it was really fun to be able to write down my experiences. I didn't really carry too much stuff that I just didn't need, really. I did have like a couple things that I was like, man, why'd I go for like the heavier version of this or just the clunkier version? But yeah, I mean, definitely just like your backpack, sleeping stuff, tent, cooking stuff, which I guess you don't even need cooking stuff because you can eat dry meals. You could do like a cold soak for all of your food. So I guess like the heating up your food aspect could be technically a creature comfort. And I don't know, man. You kind of realize like how little you need once you get out there and do this stuff. So I wouldn't overthink it too hard, like what the comforts and necessities are. Just bring whatever you feel like you need. And honestly, if you start being like, fuck, I really wish I didn't bring this, you can, you know, send it back home in a box or just leave it somewhere for somebody else to use. So yeah, I could go more into depth on that too in some other episode as well. What was the moment for you that made you realize seasonal work was what you wanted to do? Well, I don't know, because I started doing seasonal work to stay close to this one girl that I really liked at the time. she said she was coming out to Utah, and I was just like, can I go with? Like, I don't know anything about this. So, like, that's why I started doing seasonal work. But I think what made me realize that I loved seasonal work and that I wanted to keep doing stuff like this was it was when I was leaving my first seasonal job, because, yeah, it was a whole thing, whatever. But anyway, I remember as I was like about to take off, I gave this dude a hug, and I had known all these people at this place for like a month, but we all got so close and so tight, and like I gave him a hug and I started crying, and I said, like, I've really realized it doesn't matter how long you've known people. All that matters is that that you all love each other. And I think that was the moment where I realized, yeah, I love seasonal work and I want to keep doing it because the people, man, the people are the best part. You get so close with so many interesting people, and you just really get to feel the love that you don't really get if you're, working like a normal job or living in a city. Like, I feel like at places like this, you're rarely ever just walked past. Everybody says hi, asks how your day is going, and like you get invited to a lot of like go out and do shit, and it's awesome, dude. Like that's what keeps me wanting to do this stuff is really just the people and how tight you get with them. What's my favorite thing about myself? I think it's just got to be how malleable my mindset is. I don't get too stuck on certain beliefs or perspectives, because I could be wrong about anything. And I really appreciate about that about myself is that I know that I can be wrong. And knowing that is like it's allowed me to, instead of staying in certain beliefs or thinking certain things that just aren't true, I could be presented something that shows me otherwise, and like I can just change my mind. Like I love how easily I can change my mind because I'm not holding on to ideas and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably one of my favorite things about myself is my flexibility in opinions and beliefs and stuff. It's just, yeah, I think that's about it. Uh, this question is, do you think Shadow really likes Latinas? And all I gotta say is you're kind of crazy if you don't like Latinas, dude. Sorry. And I don't know if that means Shadow from Sonic. I don't know. I guess I could see Shadow getting it on with some Latinas. Yeah, so I'd say yes. I'd say yes, he likes Latinas. And the last question, how do you get yourself out of a rut? That's a very good question to end on, I feel like. I don't know, man. Like, it depends on the rut, kind of. Generally, me personally, when I want to get out of a rut, I'll kind of shift my focus away from whatever is bothering me and just go kind of, I'll go on a walk or go listen to music or kind of just like drop the problem for a while, because I don't know, I feel like when you drop the problem and like focus on something else, it's like in the back of your mind you're kind of working up a solution, but you're not thinking super hard about it, so it's not hard to come up with the solution. And usually I'll go out in the woods, take a walk, or just go listen to music somewhere, go for a swim, go for a drive, whatever, and kind of just enjoy that. And then out of nowhere, it's like that answer that my mind is just subconsciously working on just poof pops out. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do to get out of this. And I think biggest thing with like being in a rut or just any problem in general is when you're trying too hard to solve it or to get rid of it, that just kind of solidifies it more, if that makes sense. So like the more I try to fix a problem, the more you kind of validate the problem and fix it there, because you're putting time and energy into a problem, and whatever you put your time, attention, and energy into will grow and become more. So you kind of have to take that attention and stuff away from the problem for a while, dude, and go focus on something else, or don't focus on anything. And it's just like when you lose your keys and when you're trying to find them for so long, and you're like, oh my God, I literally cannot find them. But as soon as you kind of give up on the problem, which is, your keys being lost, and you're just like, oh, whatever, I don't need to even look for them anyway. And then you turn around and they're just sitting right there. That's kind of how problems work. Like when you don't make them super important, or kind of realize that, like for the key example, like, I don't need the keys anyway, because you don't. You're like, it'd be nice, but you don't need those. You can do something else today. The world is your oyster. You could go on a walk. You could do whatever. You don't need the keys. And I think it's like when you realize, I don't need this problem, I don't need to deal with this, and you just kind of let go of the issue at hand, it just kind of fixes itself. And like, that sounds a little, I'm not gonna say it sounds stupid, because it works, dude. At least for me. So that's how I personally get out of a rut. I literally go away and do something else for a while, and usually when I come back to the issue, it's either I have more mental clarity and calmness that I can deal with it a little easier, or I come back and it's just gone. Or I realize that it's not something that I need to worry about. Because a lot of our problems are just things that, we say we need to worry about, but really you don't have to, dude. You don't have to worry about anything you don't want to worry about. But yeah, that's the Q&A sesh for today, guys. That was a lot of fun. An hour has already passed by. Yeah, so I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated in the survey. You guys made this possible, and I had a lot of fun, reading through all the answers and answering the questions as well. I will be putting out another Google survey sometime in the next few days, and we'll do this again in like a week or so, depending on schedules and stuff. But yeah, if you guys liked this, please, give me a little bit of feedback. What kind of questions would you guys want to hear answered from other people? That's pretty much it, dude. So thanks for joining me on the show today. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I did. And yeah, until next time, I hope you have a good time. Peace.